Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, and thank you so much for joining us here on the program today. Our guest in studio is Dr. Michelle Maidenberg, President and Clinical Director of Westchester Group Works and co-founder and clinical director of the Thru My Eyes Foundation. She's also the author of a brand new book, Free Your Child from Overeating, a handbook for helping kids and teens, 53 mind-body strategies for lifelong health. And she's here with us in studio today to talk about her brand new book, as well as her work as co-founder and clinical director of the Thru My Eyes Foundation. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Dr. Maidenberg.
Hi.
Thank you. You know, I'm glad that you are able to return with us and give us a little bit more of your time. Talk about your brand new book, Free Your Child from Overeating.
It offers, like it says, 53. It's mindfulness-based strategies. At the end of each chapter is actually a mindfulness-based exercise. The recordings are actually available on my website, and it gives very specific strategies and tools to help with lifelong health.
Now, you do maintain a private practice in psychotherapy. Where's your practice located?
It's in Harrison, New York.
Okay. And do you deal with adults, teens, or anyone that may have an issue not only with healthful eating and healthy lifestyles, but with any mental issue in general?
Yeah, I really work with a variety of different individuals. I work with kids as young as first grade and above. I work with, preteens, teens, and also with adults, families, couples. It's really more about the specific type of treatments that I use. So I work with people with, socialization kind of challenges, interpersonal relationship issues, anxiety, depression. It really kind of runs the gamut. So I do cognitive behavioral therapy, also acceptance and commitment therapy, which is a third wave of more mindfulness-based CBT. I also do something called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And my practice in general is very mindfulness-based. So I teach people mindfulness strategies. We go over the different types of meditations, depending, again, on the needs of the specific clients that I work with.
How often do you find yourself teaching someone basically to work with someone else, say a parent who's dealing with a child rather than the child coming in, or is that ever an option?
Yeah, I mean, often people have, challenges in their relationships. That's something that happens quite often. Yeah. So parents will come in and they'll, want some feedback about, parenting issues, or even a grandparent came in and wanted some feedback about, kind of working with her daughter based on some of the things she was seeing with her granddaughter that she was unhappy about. So it really, people come in for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes it's very personal, and then sometimes it's dealing with other things outside of themselves.
Talk briefly about the reception that you've received from other healthcare professionals who have gotten a hold of your book and maybe changed some of their attitudes when it comes to dealing with children who have overeating problems, especially.
Yeah, it's really been embraced. I have different practitioners. I have physicians. I have nutritionists, psychotherapists, child advocates. There's many different types of professionals who are reading this book because it really does deal with the psychological barriers. There's so much information about, again, more of a medical model dealing with the physiology of weight challenges, but this really deals with the psychological barriers, and we really need to be cognizant and work through both of those things in order for this to be effective. Because most people, and we know this also from studies, most people who lose weight over time tend to gain it back, and sometimes people gain back even more weight than they've lost. Yeah. So we have the resources, we have the understanding of how to lose weight, but we really don't have information on how to sustain it over time. And what I find is the missing key is that we kind of trip ourselves up, and it really has everything to do with psychological barriers.
Now, these 53 strategies that you mentioned in your book, do they cover the entire gamut of what one might encounter? I mean, some unexpected things that you might encounter when talking to your child about being healthier, or maybe about their weight in general?
Yes, it does. I mean, when I I was very cognizant when I sat and I wrote this, and I actually did a lot of focus groups and spoke to a lot of professionals and parents and kids, did focus groups with kids as well, and really wanted to find out what are the issues that they're grappling with so that I'm able to cover all aspects of this issue. And, so I have a whole chapter on communication. I have a whole chapter, for example, on, on mindfulness. I have a whole chapter on value-based work. I have a whole chapter on, something that I call the 4 Ps, which is predict, plan, put into action, and practice, which is really a template for how to problem solve through this. It talks about school. It talks about bullying. It talks about, every aspect that you could think about relative to this challenge.
And where can our listeners get a copy of your brand new book, Free Your Child from Overeating?
So they're able to get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's also available on Kindle as well. Any online bookstores are available, and also, going to the actual bookstore itself, they have them as well.
Now, in addition to being an author and running a private practice, your interests also deal with people that have critical illnesses. You're a co-founder and clinical director of the Thru My Eyes Foundation. When did this start?
So Thru My Eyes has been around, I'm trying to think the exact year we started, going back a few years, probably 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. And it offers free clinically guided videotaping for chronically medically ill individuals who want to leave a video legacy for their children and loved ones. And we have a mental health professional who interviews, the person, and we do a customized, basically, questionnaire for that person based on the topics that they want to cover. So I had, for example, somebody who I interviewed, a male, who had 2 very, very young children, and he never had a relationship with his mother because his mother left the family when they were, very, very young, and she was, an alcoholic. And at the onset of the interview, he said to me, "I do not want to talk about her, so please don't mention, my mother." And I, of course, was respectful of that. So, and some people don't want to talk about their illness, for that matter. They really want to talk about their life. They want to talk about their interests. They want to talk about, things they want to convey specifically to their children. So it's really meeting the needs of the individual person, who's interested in the service. But it does offer, a legacy, a video legacy for their families.
And are these services only available if you've got a critical illness, or is this something that you can decide to do through your foundation just as a part of your will?
Yes, you can. Unfortunately, because of funding, we do get private funds and also through grants. That only covers, people who are eligible. So if you're a person out of that eligibility, then you would have to pay for that service. But it is available. But if you're doing it and you are eligible, it's free. Can
we go online and get more information for the Thru My Eyes Foundation?
Absolutely. It's www.thrumyeyes.org, O-R-G. So Thru My Eyes is spelled THRUMYEYES, and it's .org. And it lists, again, criteria. There's some videos, also samples of those people who have, participated in creating some videos. It's a free service. The other thing we've added in, which is a really nice piece of it, is we give clients a flip camera, so they get to videotape footage of them and their, children, for example, their families interacting, and we also edit that into the video as well.
Well, I sure thank you for talking with us today.
Sure.
Thank you. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, and we've been in studio with Dr. Michelle Maidenberg, clinical director and co-founder of the Thru My Eyes Foundation. And she's been with us talking about her foundation, the services that are offered, and giving us some insight as to where we can get more information online and find out whether or not we qualify for the services. It's been great having you here with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Transcripts and audio of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au and also at hpr.fm, and you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.